This year's winner is one of the most powerful players in the sport of horse racing. The quiet mastermind behind Coolmore produced Sadler's Wells to become one of the most important and influential sires of modern times. A horse who delivered at the top level on the racecourse, and his progeny in the sales ring embodied the work of one man.
John Magnier.
Our family have been in the horse business in various forms, like from half-breds to all kinds of travelling stallions for nearly 200 years. So I didn't invent the wheel or do anything like that. But, you know, I suppose we just had a desire to have the best stallions, really. And of course, you have this Italian fella, Tesio. He wasn't a bad breeder. And he said, thank God that the horses aren't selected by technicians and zoologists. He says it's just that little piece of wood in Epsom that decides what the best horse is. I remember we were going to dinner one night. This is when I first started calling up to Ballydoyle on some other business. But anyway, at that time, I'd got to know Robert Sangster. We decided that we might pool our resources. And then we really started the first syndicate year with Robert in Ballydoyle. And we had beginner's luck, really. We went to Keeneland, and this was before the Arabs, really. So we probably got a lot of good value. For example, we got the Minstrel in the first year for 200,000. The Minstrel had to be right up there because that was the first year. We went to the Derby, and lo and behold, you could hear Leicester, you could hear the crack of the whip.
They're racing into the closing stages now, and it's Hot Grove from the Minstrel, Blushing Grove and Monseigneur. 100 yards to run in the Derby, the Minstrel coming to challenge Hot Grove, and it's Leicester bigger than William Carson. The Minstrel on the near side, Hot Grove on the north side, and the Minstrel wins it from Hot Grove. Blushing Grove is third, and here's the Maestro. Here is Leicester Pickett.
He'd probably get jailed today if he did that. But he was an artist at work, and he had an aura about him, you know. If he came into a room, you kind of knew he was there. He mightn't say much, you know, but he definitely, there were interesting times. And, you know, he would come and stay in Ballydoyle there, especially in the spring, and he'd have a few glasses of champagne and smoke a cigar. And yeah, he definitely, very interesting.
In the great Vincent O'Brien, what made him so special as a trainer and with an eye for a horse?
He understood all aspects of the business. Like, he understood the American bloodlines, for example. He understood the finance. He understood that if you didn't have the owner, you're not going to get the horse. So you could be a great trainer, but if you don't have the horses, like, how can you can't succeed? He was he was the man apart, really. You couldn't help but learn from him.
Yeah.
You know, he was a genius, really.
The same combination of O'Brien, Piggott and Sangster combined to land 2 Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, this time with the brilliant Alleged.
As they race into the closing stages, Alleged is going to win it for the second successive year, and as they race up towards the line, it's Alleged from Trillion and Dancing Maid, and at the line, Alleged wins the Arc de Triomphe from Trillion second and Dancing Maid third. First, number 6, Alleged, owned by Mr. Robert Sangster, trained by Vincent O'Brien.
4 years later, and Derby success with Golden Fleece, this time with Pat Eddery in the saddle.
And Golden Fleece and Pat Eddery storm through into the lead. A 6 Derby victory in prospect here for Vincent O'Brien as they come inside the final furlong. Golden Fleece touching wood, no wing from Persepolis, who's finishing fast. But as they come up toward the line, Golden Fleece from touching wood. A Silverhawk of Persepolis, and at the line, Golden Fleece the winner.
Can I ask you, I've got 2 ones that got away. Can I ask you about the first one and your memory of El Gran Senor?
But look at El Gran Senor, he's absolutely cruising.
That was an extraordinary thing about how good that horse was. And he actually was sold for 80 million if he had won the Derby. And
Hold on, so he had to win the Derby.
and he was sold for 80 million. And Pat Edry, you could see that he couldn't possibly be beaten the way the race was unfolding. And then for David to beat his father was incredible.
You must have gone through a range of emotions after that race.
Yeah, but that's racing. In actual fact, I had a bet on Secreto, and Ladbrokes shut my account after. Mike gave me the check, and I still have it in my office, framed. So we were able to buy a drink anyway that night.
The next chapter I want to do with you involves a young man called Aidan O'Brien. Why Aidan?
Well, a lot of people ask me that question, and the answer is very simple. I could read the paper, and he's winning races every day, and loads of races, but mostly jumping races.
And Isterbrand going on to win his third Spartan Champion hurdle. 4 festival wins running for Isterbrand in the champion and champion of champions.
Did you know straight away that he was there was something different about him?
Well, interesting story there too. He came here to the office, and I was going to have a chat with him, to see if we could work something out. And he said, yeah, he said, I was here before. I said, well, what were you doing here before? He said, I tried to get a job here before. He said, I met Christy Grassick, and I said, what happened? Well, he said, he didn't give it to me anyway. But I said, clever him. He could have lost his job. Aidan, he told me he went to work for Paddy Mullins. So he told Christy he would get a reference from Paddy Mullins. But Aidan also told me that when he went to Paddy Mullins, he was so homesick he had to go home. And of course, Paddy then wouldn't give him the reference. So hence Christy didn't give him the job.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And so many great memories in this chapter. Galileo is someone I want to focus on and off the track. Was Galileo the ultimate Derby horse?
Yeah, I'd say he was. Mick Kinnan said that he knew he was going to win a long way out.
That's Galileo who's gone for home a furlong and a half out. He's Keeptorial 3 lengths in front. Battling on as Mr. Combustible, followed by Golan, who's now starting to fly. Dilshan in trouble, and then Taboog. But it's Galileo. A half furlong left to go, and Galileo is going to career away with the Derby. Galileo goes on to win it.
He had the physique and he had the pedigree, but the thing that's coming through, and Aidan told me this before he got really hot, he said, these mares by Galileo are going to become so important, you can't believe. And he said, there's something that you can see in them. There's a mental fortitude there that is coming through. He really is coming through as a broodmare sire. And he's well known as a sire of sires, obviously.
Amazing dynasty, an amazing legacy he's left, hasn't he?
Yeah, and actually Frankel, he was a foal share with Judbund, as it turns out. And every second year we got to pick, somebody had the first pick. And so that year, Judbund had the first pick and they picked Frankel. So
wow.
That was another one that got away.
Which leads me to another race that got away. And we're actually sitting here by an amazing trophy here for Justify's Triple Crown in America. Over here, Nijinsky in 1970, Camelot. That day at Doncaster in the St. Leger, going for the Triple Crown. That's got to be one of the all-time races, the one that got away, if you like.
Yeah, that was tough to take that one, all right. The history of the Triple Crown, really, that's something we'd love to do sometime. So we won't give up anyway.
So history is a big thing for you, isn't it?
Well, I think the game is, history is a big part of it, isn't it, and tradition.
History and tradition are part of what makes Royal Ascot so special. The signature race is the Gold Cup.
And Yates is not for catching. All class, one of the greatest stayers of all time, one of the greatest training performances of all time. 4 Gold Cups for Yates.
Memorable moments in the winner's enclosure made extra special when the trophy for the winning owner is presented by Her Majesty the Queen.
Well, she's been such a positive for racing. You know, it'll be very tough to manage without her.
And when she was here at Coolmore, I imagine she wanted to see the horses.
Oh yeah, you could see she knew her horses like no one else. But everybody knows that part of her.
And the future of our sport, are you as gloomy as some about?
Well, our people that are running the sport, they've really got to make some tough decisions. And when they make tough decisions, the rest of us are going to have to row in behind them. And, you know, there's too many sectional interests pulling in different directions. You know, that it has to be agreed, whatever the policy is, by the powers that be, and then we just have to go with it.
Some people might have to take some pain, but
it'll
short-term pain for hopefully long-term gain.
Precisely, yeah.
But the ultimate ambition remains winning one special race, the Derby.
A horse has to have everything to win at Epsom. He has to have speed, he has to have stamina, he has to have soundness, he has to have courage, he has to go through the razzmatazz of the day. It's the complete test of a horse.
Paul Moore is swooping. Treasure Beast just holding on. Grabbed by Paul Moore. Paul Moore's got up to win it. Celebrating before the line. Look at him. Arms extended in the saddle. He's only won it by a half head.
And at the line, the father and son combination of Joseph and Aidan O'Brien won the Investec Derby with Camelot.
Ruler of the world, on top of the world at Epsom, wins the Derby.
It was written in the stars, a day of destiny, as Australia follows in her parents' footsteps and wins an Epsom Classic.
Cliffs of Moher, Wings of Eagles swooping though, and Wings of Eagles gets up to win. Anthony Van Dyke has won it. It's another win in the Derby for Ballydor, a Ballydor bonanza.
They're not going to catch Serpentine, an ace Derby for Aidan O'Brien on one of the great Derby rides.
Influences on your life, John. Your dear late mum who passed away recently. How big an influence was she on you?
Well, listen, she was around for a long time, so it's got to be a big influence.
Just an extraordinary lady who had an amazing life.
Oh yeah, she actually loved the horses, and she spent 2 or 3 hours reading the Racing Post, and she really, it was a big part of her life, you know.
Can I finish by asking you about Peter himself? Your memories of Peter O'Sullivan?
Sure, he was a great ambassador for the game, really, in every way. A funny story, actually. Frank Barry, we were at Royal Ascot one year, and Frank said, you know, we got to go down and we got to meet this fella from Limerick, and we want to find out what he's fancying for the day. So Frank and I went off down to where the bookmakers were, and lo and behold, who was there but Peter O'Sullivan was there in all his rig-out, talking to none other than J.P. McManus.
Take 3 to 1, whether they slip or not to the next day. Take 3 to 1.
So I remember it was raining that day, and all JP had on his head was the Cork Examiner. You know, so they've been friends for, I don't know how long ago that is, but it's amazing. So again, the history that he had, you know, I know my father-in-law was involved, and Peter used to, I think, bet for them and so on. He had an entree into everywhere. For example, he'd go around the stables in France at the start of the year, and he would know where the grass was growing. Everything he knew, you know what I mean? So
An amazing man. Isn't it amazing, 25 years on from the setting up of the lunch, he still resonates, he still has that legacy?
well, he's just class, like anything to do with him. He was always that way.
And what does it mean to you to win his award on the 25th year?
Well, I don't deserve it, but I'm happy to get it. Blown away by it, really.
A lifetime in racing, chasing the ultimate dream to breed the perfect racehorse. The man known simply to many as the Boss is John Magnier, this year's winner of the Sir Peter O'Sullivan Award.
It gives me great pleasure to present the Sir Peter O'Sullivan Award to you, John, and I can't think of a more deserving recipient.
Listen, it's a humbling experience. I don't really deserve it, but when I see the list of people that have got it before me, really, and I'm just proud to have something with Sir Peter's name attached. And thank you very much. And I'm sorry I won't be here on the day, but I wish I was, but I can't be, unfortunately.